During these uncertain times, I wouldn't be shocked if on some level you're dealing with some higher levels of anxiety than you've been used to. We've got some tips for you that are going to help you through that. So I want to share with you the number one thing that I've used over the years and used with a lot of different people to help them handle their anxiety that is going to be the game changer for you. If you can start to master and handle your anxiety using this one little tip, you're going to make great strides in some ways that are going to blow your mind and actually start to work and build your confidence in your ability to handle your anxiety and keep taking action and moving forward. So I'm excited to share those with you. That fundamental difference that I want to point out is connected to this idea that action is the elixir for anxiety. Because if we can understand that it's not actually anxiety that freezes us in the moment, that stops us from taking action, but it's something else that we're going to call overwhelm. What is overwhelm? Overwhelm is the feeling of the abundance of the presence of anxiety that starts to feel like the anxiety is never going to end or go away. That's overwhelm. That's the thing that actually stops you from taking action and freezes you in your tracks. So why is that important? To recognize that anxiety is a different thing from overwhelm. Overwhelm is an accumulation of anxiety that starts to feel like future negative consequences and the worry about them are, and that feeling is never going to go away. Our job and our best option in handling our anxiety is to recognize what we call little anxieties. Okay? So how does anxiety accumulate into an abundance of anxiety and turn into overwhelm? When we deny that we're feeling anxious, that anxiety grows. It's just like not answering the door when somebody's knocking. They start to knock and we ignore it and they knock louder and louder and louder. So what we want to do, which is kind of counterintuitive to what we're taught to do, is actually accept the feeling of anxiety that's coming up. Accept the feeling of anxiousness that's arriving. Accept that feeling of fear that's causing you to start contemplating the future. That's the thing that anxiety does to hook us. It taunts us with things that haven't even happened yet. So if you're faced with a dozen things that are creating anxiety for you, what you're going to end up with is overwhelm if you try to deny those sources of anxiety and not accept that they're knocking on your door. The thing to do instead is just to pick one of them. It doesn't matter which one it is. It doesn't matter how important or how not important it is. If it's a source of anxiety for you, amongst a whole bunch of sources of anxiety, all you've got to do is get started on one and take action towards that. If you can do that, then before you know it, just like we talked about in our last discussion around this topic, that's an action. That's the action that will actually get you moving again and get you building momentum and feeling some actual confidence or change in your state of emotional being that will ground you, will get your feet back on the floor, will clear your head and keep you calm. That's the momentum that you use to catapult into handling the next one. Doesn't matter which one it is. Pick one and do something about it. Take an action towards it, and before you know it, you're going to feel yourself in real time actually handling the things that would otherwise accumulate into this abundance of anxiety that we're now going to call overwhelm. So this tip is to get you to understand that there's a big difference between anxiety and overwhelm. And there's a big difference between what they do to us in the moment that we're feeling them. Anxiety doesn't stop our action. Anxiety gets us a little bit scared. Anxiety makes us a little bit timid. Anxiety makes us lose courage a little bit, but it's not anxiety on its own. It's when it accumulates into what we're going to call overwhelm, which is an abundance of anxious feelings that are so prevalent, they feel like they're never going to go away. Okay? So think about that and break it down for yourself and take a look at places where perhaps in the past you felt overwhelmed. And then give yourself a big pat on the back and forgive yourself, because we've all felt overwhelmed at different times. Every one of us has. But it's when we experience that, overcome it, that we sort of live to fight another day. And this is one of those tools. This is one of those weapons that's going to help kill the anxiety and help you continue to gain that mastery of keeping your head, staying calm, staying in a state of readiness, staying grounded and able to actually take action. Don't get tripped up by the illusion that is anxiety and let it make you deny its presence and let it buy time to turn into overwhelm. Hope that makes sense. I use it all the time myself. I've shared it with lots of people in the dojo, outside of the dojo, and everybody that applies it and practices it seems to find a way to make it work for them. So I hope it works for you, and we'll see you back in the dojo next time. Thanks so much.